Arsenal and West Ham agree a deal for Declan Rice. Rice, baby. He's set to become a British record transfer for the Gunners. We're going to be talking about Yuri and Timber also agreed. So Arsenal have 2 deals agreed in 24 hours. In that period, it's even less than that if you're talking mathematics. But there's also other news. Arsenal open to selling Thomas Partey, according to reports. We're going to be talking about those topics and much more wider than the Arsenal news. But we're going to be a Arsenal heavy focus show this evening. But let's get into it, people. Wagwan, everyone. I hope you're doing well and welcome back to another Tereak Talking Transfers show, the Triple T. Hope you're all keeping well. Hope you've all had a fantastic Wednesday. It is a Wednesday indeed. The week is flying and it is going fast, but that's thanks to you guys because I'm doing 3 streams in a row. I haven't done that in a while, even when I was streaming on a quite consistent and regular basis. I don't think I did 3 streams in a row, in days in a row for a while. Not since when we were going all the way back to when we just started the channel, when we was doing a lot more watch-alongs and stuff. But guys, we will get into it. We will get into the fantastic news for those who are Arsenal fans like myself. In Arsenal finally agreeing that deal, and my word, how long did that process feel? And it was actually a lot shorter when you look at it in time frame. It was a week. It was a week ago yesterday when the news broke that Arsenal submitted their £105 million bid, which puts Manchester City out of the race. And Arsenal just left Arsenal and West Ham to negotiate the details, the payment structure. But that week felt like the longest week of our footballing lives. But it was only a week, in fact. See, when you look at it relatively, it was quite quick. Arsenal and Edu have got that deal done of that magnitude. But we'll get right into it and how he fits in this Arsenal team, what it means for Declan Rice and Arsenal going forward. I know there's been a lot of rival fans talking about the pressure now on the club to succeed, to win trophies, to ultimately win the Premier League, win the Champions League. We'll wait and see. But let's get in. Before we get into it, we have to big up each and every one of you that are watching here right now. If you haven't done so already, please smash that like button. If you are new, you can subscribe to Tereak Talks. We will be bringing you content on a regular basis. At the moment, it's daily. I can't promise that will always be the case, but I do aspire to be able to do this daily for you. And if you do think I'm any good at it, please hit that subscribe button. And if you do actually enjoy the show as well, please share it to your friends and family, and let's grow this Tereak Talks family over here, the TTF. But I hope you're all keeping well. Big up Matt G in the chat. He says, big up T, Rice, baby. I kind of nicked that from you. I won't lie. I nicked it from you in the chat. But is it really nicking it from you? Because Muller Rice might be out here to try and copyright claim us. Sorry about that. He used it first, so maybe, unless he's given those rights to them, of course. I'm overthinking it again. This is Tereak Talks. We always spend time talking and overthinking. Maybe we should rename the channel that, and there's me overthinking again, even that specific detail. But I hope you're keeping good, Matt G. Thank you for tuning in. My brother CM22, hope you're keeping good. He did join me for last night's show, Talking Transfers. Says back again, large up to T and the TTF. Big up yourself. Thank you for joining me last night, CM. It was a pleasure talking football and non-football stuff with you as well. If you aren't a regular on the show, this is what we do. We will delve into the football topics that we intend to. Of course, I've got a moth in my room. This is really annoying. So if you keep seeing me bat away, apologies. But yeah, so we do delve into all these topics and more, and whatever you want to talk about in the chat too. So now I really appreciate you, CM, and I hope you've had a fantastic day yourself. Big up my brother Bobby K in the building, who is a Spurs fan, but he's showing love as usual. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. And I hope you're keeping good and well too. Red Devil Yannick in the building. It's been a while since I've seen you. Hope you're keeping good and that you're doing well. He says, hi, and I hate it that you getting Rice and Timber while Man United announced Mount. Yeah, I did think that. It's a good point you raised right there. I think Arsenal done this on purpose. It's kind of like drowning out the Mount news to a certain extent, because Manchester United are a major club and they've got a major fan base, the biggest fan base in this country, that expands globally. But Red Devil Yannick for Arsenal to announce our record signing and Timber on the same day, within the same 48 hours. It's massive, massive work. Of course, they had to let David Ornstein know. And then, can you release it now, mate? Now that Mason Mount has been announced and there's been all of that talk about Mason Mount with the 7 shirt, we'll get into that too, Red Devil Yannick. So even though it will be Arsenal centric for the next 30 plus minutes or so, please stay. For those who don't support Arsenal too, I will try and give a balanced view of this, of course. But let's talk about that Declan Rice move and what it means for the player. We've been seeing on social media, if you are well in touch with what's going on Twitter. If not, I will explain it here for you. West Ham, there's a split in the West Ham fan base online. You've got one half that are really appreciative of what Declan Rice has done for that club and how he's carried himself and represented himself wearing the irons, the claret and blue shirt, and being the captain in his last season at the club and being a real inspiration for young players in and around the academy and fans, young fans who do aspire to play for West Ham one day. Who West Ham are a big club. They are a big club in London, with a passionate fan base. And I do think he's represented them well professionally, always available, never hides in terms of his character, always demanding the best from his teammates surrounding him. And now he's made that decision to come to the mighty Arsenal. Now it's up to, and there are fans that are really thankful to him and wish him all the best. And then there's another half of West Ham fans who are, how do I say this? Who are unpleased, not happy with his decision to go to another London club, whilst Manchester City were there for him for the taking. So he had the opportunity to move out of London and not go for a geographical rival. This is where I'm a bit confused, right, with West Ham fans that do feel this way. Arsenal, West Ham have never really shared a particular hatred or vim towards each other. We've actually shared a common enemy in Spurs. West Ham really don't like Spurs, just as Arsenal don't like Spurs as well. So we tend to really back each other when they are playing Tottenham Hotspur. I certainly do. I can say that as an Arsenal fan, when West Ham and Spurs are playing, I do cheer on West Ham, and it is always an entertaining game, of course, with a lot of passion and fire from both sets of fans. And then I hope that they feel the same way when Arsenal and West Ham play in the North London, Arsenal and Spurs play in the North London derby. But whenever we've played West Ham, we've lost to them a couple of times. We've dropped major points like we did last season at the London Stadium, but there's never really been that anger or hatred towards each other, of course. So yeah, maybe this Declan Rice deal of this magnitude might kick something off. It's not been, if you look back in history, there's certain transfers that have caused this type of rivalry to begin and build in terms of how players leave the club and how they go to another club that's not necessarily a rival at the time, but it causes a lot of a lot of anger and bitterness towards each other, and loads of toing and throwing, I guess. But I don't feel like Declan Rice has done anything really to upset the West Ham fan base and how he's handled himself in this process. I think he's done an excellent job and an excellent service to West Ham, and commanding the fee that he has done and allowing West Ham to do so as well, but also making them aware of his preference to join Arsenal. He never handed in a transfer request. He wasn't vocal about him wanting to move publicly from East London. Of course, this summer he definitely did it internally. They offered him contracts previously, which David Sullivan spoke about after the Europa Conference League final. The offers that they did make to him of 200k plus a week, but he turned it down. He didn't want to accept it, and put the club in a difficult position where they would need to demand big money if the club were in a position where, they were threatening to get relegated at points this season. If they were to get relegated, it would leave them with a big financial gaping black hole in terms of Declan Rice. But he was professional and wanted to see out his contract. He actually did have 2 years left. It was well reported that you'll see fans on social media say 105 million for a player that had 1 year left, but they purposely leave out the fact that West Ham had the option to extend by a further year, of course. So I think he's handled himself and handled this situation so well. And this does speak about the character of the player. How many times have we seen it, guys, with big transfers, of course, where players are vocal in how much they're vocal in their desire to leave their respective club for another one, especially when it's a step up, like going from West Ham to Arsenal. And Arsenal at this current moment in time are such an attractive proposition financially. Of course, that's one of the key factors that are that players will always look for as well. But on the pitch, we're playing in the Champions League next season. We've got a young, bright squad with tremendous potential, with the ceiling as high as not we can even imagine, with Mikel Arteta at the helm, and how much he's elevated these players as individuals and as a group already, who are still very young. Saka 21, Martinelli 21, 22, Odegaard 22, 23. As a captain already, Saliba, Gabriel, a lot of these players are in their early to mid 20s that we've got here that we're building. And Declan Rice fits in that profile as a young 24-year-old with a lot of experience. And that's what he shares with the Arsenal players who have got a lot of experience, but are willing and able to make a name for themselves at the club and have ambitions to reach the very top with this tremendous football club and achieve things that have never been achieved at Arsenal, of course, being the Champions League, and then what follows that, being winning the Club World Cup. They do have all these ambitions as an Arsenal player, and you can see that with how they are determined to renew their contracts and pledge their future towards the club. And that's also a brilliant sign in terms of how the club's operating and the ambitions that they're showing and how well that they're operating on and off the pitch. And you're looking at that, and you've got Mikel Arteta, who also kind of fits into that profile as the players who are young players, experienced now, I'd say, whilst being young. And you can say the same now for Mikel Arteta. Whenever we spoke about Mikel Arteta, tremendous talent as a coach, tremendous potential. You hear it from professionals in and around the game, even when it wasn't as clear for Arsenal fans or non-Arsenal fans to see. But last season made it clear as day. The ceiling, the character of this man, the potential to keep going, and the knowledge that he has, and not just the knowledge, because it's all great having it up here, but the fact that he's able to implement his style, get his message across loud and clear, keep the players motivated, and grow in belief as well as developing them. The intricacies of the game, the things that they and changing their perspective and giving them things and nuggets of information that they would have never heard before. And we've heard Pep Guardiola, arguably the greatest coach of all time, definitely right now, we can say. And there's no argument, the best manager in the world to do so. And to talk about him with such high esteem, Jose Mourinho, Mauricio Pochettino, all who are managed and currently managing at rival clubs, speak about this man. And now we're seeing it on the pitch, and it's been loud and clear. And when you've got someone like that in your ear selling you this project of being at Arsenal Football Club and its stature, but also in the direction, the trajectory that it is heading in, Declan Rice made that decision, and he said no to Manchester City. Well, he didn't say no per se, of course. He was open to going to Manchester City. Who wouldn't be to work under Pep Guardiola, this treble-winning team, this machine that they are? And you know they will be here for the medium to long term, not just the short term, with Pep Guardiola at the helm. And who wouldn't want to work under Pep Guardiola, arguably the greatest manager of all time? They're only going to kick on from here. They might not achieve a treble winning season, of course, but they're still going to be here competing for the biggest and best trophies around. And if you're a guy like Declan Rice, he would have taken that challenge. People, this is what I don't get when people are saying, "Oh, Declan, why have you gone to Arsenal? You're a coward. You've not wanted to fight for your place at Manchester City. You've wanted the easy ride at Arsenal, but that's going to haunt you and that's going to trouble you because you're not going to get the trophies that you desire." And that shows a weak mentality. Give it a rest. Move that to the side. It actually shows the complete opposite of a weak mentality. The complete opposite. It shows how strong he is and how much confidence and belief he has in himself, guys. He believes in his heart of heart that he can take Arsenal to the football promised land. He believes, and not just him, Mikel Arteta certainly does. Those would have been the messages that he'd have been telling him in his ear, telling him why we really want you and why he should come to Arsenal. Because you can be that leader, that piece to push us forward and take us to the next level. That is what Arsenal and Arteta, Edu, would have been preaching and really showing him that clear pathway. And he believes it in himself, Declan Rice. That's why it's a strength. That's why it's mentality. That's why it shows the complete opposite of what some people may be saying. For me, it's more taking the easier route, going to Manchester City, the easier route to get success, because it's already served on a plate there with how they operate. You can go there, be a bit part player, and still claim, and still be a part of the team and getting success, but not being a key figure, an integral part of that team, where he believes that Arsenal, he can be that integral part and bring Arsenal back to the upper echelon, the elite of the game, winning the trophies, winning the league titles, being at Arsenal, getting the consistency back in their game, dragging them over the line when the heat is in the kitchen, and those who can't handle it, who love it. Arsenal have been, we've been tainted with this brush so many times. It's all great until the pressure starts to show. That's when Arsenal fold. He's gonna be a part of this now. And if Arsenal have a great start to the season, like we did last, and even have it was more than a great start. Arsenal had a great season overall. And without the success of winning a trophy, without quite getting over that finishing line, Arsenal now need to do that. And he will be asked those questions. Declan Rice, you've been brought in as a leader. You've been brought in as a man. Your Arsenal's record fee. You have to carry them now. You have to shine when the going gets tough. When you're under the cosh, away from home at Anfield, the crowd's roaring. Arsenal can't get out. The players aren't able to make 3 passes because this happens. We've seen it. We've seen it, guys. You've seen it. Anfield, those plays, those atmospheres, the level that we're talking about now, the margin for error is fine. Can you do that? Can you show your cojones? Can you show your ability? Not just the character, the mentality. Can you show the technical ability? Can you play under pressure when those things are happening? Because we know with Declan Rice, before we get into his depth about his player profile, can you do what you do best in those moments, in winning the ball in and around your defensive area, up high, even whatever phase, whatever part of the pitch, first, second, third of the pitch, whichever thirds you want to win that ball up and make that difference. And when you are being converged with a press, can you drive out like you usually do, like we know you can do, Declan? Those things, those questions are going to be asked. And I see if Arsenal have a great start to the season or replicate what they did, he's willing to do that. And that's already looking far ahead into it. And this is why, me as an Arsenal fan, I'm very excited. And why I'm also very excited, when I look at this player and his profile, that's exactly what Arsenal have been missing for years. Guys, I don't say this lightly. I seriously don't when I talk about Declan Rice. He will be the best midfielder we've had since Patrick Vieira. Can he get above that level? I don't know. But Arsenal have had some fantastic midfielders in their time. Cesc Fabregas, who's just retired, was a brilliant midfielder. Different to Declan Rice. It's hard to really compare. You know, they'll have different roles in that. Fabregas was an excellent creator, someone who scores plenty of goals. We built the team around him. Didn't quite have the success that he deserved to have at Arsenal because of other circumstances, of course. But, you know, Declan Rice, Santi Cazorla, Gilberto Silva. These are just a few names just in my lifetime that I've seen, and there's more that I'm missing. Guys, let me know in the chat. Chuck in some names, some Arsenal great midfielders. He's got that pressure now, being a record signing to do that. But Arteta and Edu certainly believe that he's got the mentality to handle that. And not just that, the ability to do so. And when I talk about his player profile and why I say that with such chest and such confidence, we got someone who's elite within the ball. He can do that any part of the pitch. He's got the energy. He's got the aggression, the tenacity. He's got the reading of the game, what you can't teach. He's got the intangibles in terms of ability that you can't teach at all at any age, no matter how you do so. It's about sensing danger. It's about seeing the patterns of play, reading the next move that your opponent's going to make, whether it's through their body shape, whether it's through even just how you process information in such a short space of time. Some of us just can't do that. And there's not some of us, most of us wouldn't be able to do that. And even if we do read it, we can't always get our body across. But a Declan Rice who looks after that frame of his so well, professionally, the guy doesn't drink. He said he might have to at the end of his career, but he doesn't drink. He eats his sea bass and rice, ironically, before every game. Takes his profession very seriously, and you don't get to that level without doing so. For Declan Rice, someone who has experienced adversity in his already young career. We're being released at Chelsea, telling you, sorry, mate, you're not good enough. Going to West Ham, them believing in him, giving him the opportunity to shine, dealing with poor performances where David Moyes has gone out and said himself and outed him in press conferences, which at them times have caused West Ham fans, oh, David Moyes, you can't say that about the young lad. You'll ruin him. but he knows Declan Rice can take it. He knows the character that he has. He knows what will motivate him. You hear about the carrot and the stick approach all the time. Declan Rice thrives off that pressure, thrives off that telling off, being told clear, straight, direct. And you know Mikel Arteta will do that. You know that for a fact. And that's what I believe in him. He's got that. He's got everything to do it. And I've spoken about those factors there, but the player profile, winning that ball, elite at doing so. Statistics prove it. And even when you just watch it, eye test, whatever, however you want to see it, elite, one of the best. Also, with Declan Rice, is his carrying ability, progressive carries through the pitch. He's very quick. He's deceptively quick at that. He's got a very good burst of acceleration in the opening few yards. That's how he's always able to open and drive. Arsenal fans, maybe you've seen this clip go around on social media where we actually West Ham played against us in lockdown in that 3-3 draw, and he carried it from the edge of his defensive area all the way to the box and drew a save out of Bern Leno. He's done that on many occasions for West Ham, even in their Europa Conference League win against AZ Alkmaar in the semi-final. Carried it on that left channel, slide it in with his left foot, dribbling and driving. He's got that. He's got the USP. Well, Declan Rice, not many midfielders do that in that deep line area position. When I'm just trying to think of some that do it off the top of my head, who are more box-to-box midfielders. You got Mateo Kovacic that can do that. Bellingham is really good at doing that, and why he gets so much praise. Put your Paul Pogba's of the world, but in that defensive midfield role where they can really do it from pick it up, win the ball, whether it's intercepting, whether it's tough tackling, in any way, and then carrying it up into them, breaking the lines and creating defense to attack through a transition. Not many players in the world can do that, and that's why West Ham rated him so highly and slapped such a figure upon his head. And I've seen so much development already. The guy was brought in as a centre-back because once he can read the game well, he's got a good physicality to him. He's tall, he's quick. You can trust him. He makes the right decisions in those areas, far back and deep into his own box. He's not rash in how he in his decision making. Hence why he's never picked up a red card in his career. Maybe that will change at Arsenal. So that's why West Ham initially saw him as a centre back, but look at how he's developed now into one of the world's best defensive midfielders. Whilst at West Ham, whilst not necessarily playing a style of football that will, I don't think will bring the best out of Declan Rice and really push him on and make him as one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, which is probably why, as fans, non-Arsenal fans are, because Arsenal fans now have done so much research into Declan Rice ever since the interest was made aware back in January this year. You probably won't think of Declan Rice as, average. He doesn't do anything that more than means, he's a great dribbler, but I've not really seen him be a tremendous passer of the ball. His statistics don't really show that he's an amazing passer of the ball. But I think that's more to do with the environment around him and how West Ham are, the system that they play, the players around him that they have, the strengths and weaknesses that the players around him have, like Thomas Souček. You're not going to be playing 1-2s in tight areas, playing intricate football with those. Even credit to Mikel Antonio. I think he's a brilliant striker in terms of what he's doing. He's not going to be doing what Gabriel Jesus does, linking up well, sensing danger, going and dribbling drives, creating space for you to make those runs forward into the box, which Declan Rice can certainly do as well, even from a defensive midfield position, if he's given the license and the responsibility, which I'm sure he'll be able to have now. But a little bit similar to what Rodri has at Manchester City. So at Arsenal, completely different. He's going to be defending a lot more in open spaces, which is going to be a culture shock football wise to him. But it's not something that he won't be able to deal with when talking about his character and mentality, as he's already dealt with so much change in his professional career already. And when tests have been, gauntlets have been thrown, especially for England. And even when I've watched him, I've always watched him. Okay, now this is a test against France. Passed it flying colours. Was phenomenal in that game, in and out of possession when being pressed, playing in that single pivot on his own with so much responsibility, allowing the likes of Bellingham to flourish for England, allowing Henderson, when he came in, he was able to go and be a lot more like the Henderson we saw at Liverpool rather than being the reserved Henderson that we've seen play for England at points, having Mason Mount in front of him in that England team, giving him the responsibility to go and you be the creator, you be the chief man, giving the stability for Bukayo Saka to put and show his levels. And that was all in the World Cup. I'm not even talking about the Euros, where England made it to the final and lost on penalties, and England lost a massive piece when he was substituted. I know it happened a while ago, but that happened, and that was where the game changed. Declan Rice has it all, guys. I spoke about him for half an hour now, and I've not even mentioned Timber. But I'm confident. I'm very confident, and I'm very excited about this signing. And what does it mean for Arsenal Football Club? Arsenal now have broken their record, their individual record, and the transfer record for a British player. All eyes are on Arsenal Football Club next season. After the season they had already, there's a lot of eyes watching, and rival fans will look at it and will be watching and hoping and praying for our downfall, because it's funny, I guess. Like, it's funny when you watch your rivals lose, and they know how excited and how confident Arsenal fans have been, and what they would say in their terms, unbearable that we've been, and I think we should be. Because in my life, when Manchester United were winning we were collecting and running, sweeping away all the trophies, putting it in their cabinet, they were unbearable, and rightly so. I want to be that. And Arsenal, this is the beginning. I do think it is the beginning. And now, this is a real statement of the beginning. Arsenal can't settle for less. We have to be challenging for the biggest and best trophies. There's been some Arsenal fans who I highly respect. Big up my brother Harry. Harry, very knowledgeable and very wise when he discusses Arsenal. But I do think he has been a bit cautious with his approach. I think it's more trying to guard our expectations using what we've experienced in the past, false dawns, and the likes of. But Arsenal, this is entering into a new era. Something I've never seen in my lifetime. Maybe we've done it way back in the day in terms of breaking British transfer fees, but something I've never seen and always wanted my club to do. So what this means for Arsenal now, you set the precedent. If you don't challenge for the league, and if you're not challenging for the league, I know it sounds crazy because it's our first season back in 7 years. The Champions League. I'm not saying we have to challenge for both, but I want to challenge for at least one. And the league's always my main focus, always the main priority. I think it's harder to win the Premier League than it is to win the Champions League. Is it harder to win? You need a bit more luck, I'd say. Look at the draw in the Champions League. Depends on injuries. I think you need a bit more luck in that sense, but it can be harder to win the Premier League. And I think it's a true reflection on how good you are as a team over a 38-game season rather than 6 games in the knockouts, which will soon change next season, not this season coming, but the next. And then playing around a 16, so that's 2 games, quarterfinals, another 2, 4, 6, and then, and then 7 knockout games based on draws and who you get, rather than the Premier League who I'm not knocking either of them. I'd love either of them next season. But that is my aim, my expectation, and that's I think what Arteta will be looking for as well. He's going to be always looking at the coaches in the next game. Whatever the next game, let's not look too far ahead. What he's focusing on Nuremberg at the moment, getting the players fit and ready for the season. Not necessarily Nuremberg and trying to win that game, but how he wants to set his style and get players bedded in and trying different tactics. That's what preseason's for. Different set pieces, different pressing triggers, different ways of entering the first, second, and third phase of the pitch, and all those intricacies there. That we as fans just watching in awe. And how Arsenal work as a machine. That's what he's looking at. But when the season starts, the next game, Forest, Crystal Palace, and once Forest is done, then it's Crystal Palace. Those things there. But we got to win it all. That's what he wants. That's the message you're going to be saying to the players. And that's what we've got to try and do. He wants to win every game. And that's what this signing means for Arsenal now. There's going to be scrutiny at every moment. And we have to be prepared as fans, mentally strong enough to take it and not to fold when things don't work out, when we go through a sticky patch, not to fold, stay confident, trust in the team, and let's support them and back them, and let's try and push them on. And then if it doesn't happen, then you have your criticisms and you can be constructive in your criticisms. But let's not have a full-blown meltdown when things don't necessarily go our way. If Rice has a bad game and after he's had 10 wonderful ones, asking the question, is he worth it? Let's not do that. But that's what it means for Arsenal with Declan Rice. And let's not forget about Yuri and Timber. That deal has been agreed as well today. But before we get into that, guys, I want to big up each and every one of you that are here watching live right now. Smash that like button if you haven't done so already. We're on 14 at the moment. Let's try and get this. We need to try and get the people in to get it to 20. So please do share it to your friends, whether you're watching live or if you can share it after as well. And the communities that you're in, the Arsenal communities, of course, got plenty of Gooners in here, but if non-Arsenal communities too, guys, whatever you're involved in, please do. It will mean a lot. And I already thank you so much for tuning in here tonight. Big up M in here, says Tereak, where you been, bro? I'm back, man. I'm back. I would advise you, because I went into a bit more detail on last week's stream. Towards the end, you don't have to watch the whole thing. It was about 2 hours or something like that. But about the last 10 minutes or something, you'll find out there. But big up my bro M. Hope you're keeping good. And that's the same for you as well. No, hope you're all good. Thank you. I am okay. Hope you are as well. I really do appreciate you asking, guys. It has been a while. Love to you all. Red Devil Yannick says Rice is good friends with Luke Shaw and Mason Mount. He is indeed his best friend, if is Mason Mount, and he is good friends with Luke Shaw. And him and Bukayo Saka are a good trio at England. I know Luke Shaw and Bukayo Saka are good friends, but Declan Rice is good friends with Bukayo Saka. I'm sure he's good friends with Ben White, and everyone loves Aaron Ramsdale. He's a character, isn't he? Big up yourself, Arsenal Vlogs. Hope you're keeping good. He says, hi, how are you? Hope I'm good, thank you. Hope you are too. Wes Bird in here says, evening, Mr. T. Sorry, just realised that you are on. Good evening, all. Now, good evening to yourself, Wes Bird, and I hope and give Mr. W my love and greetings as well. Hope you've both have had a fantastic day. And yeah, I hope that you're enjoying the stream as well. And Wes Bird has left her humble and accurate opinions, as always, in the chat, saying, as you know, I wasn't convinced by Rice, but I know that he'll be excellent for the Arsenal. So looking forward to seeing him improve even more under Arteta. Absolutely agree. I do think, even though I've given him a lot of praise for his defensive ability in winning the ball, reading the game well, carrying it in those areas of the pitch and being there in the tough moments and dragging his team at times, there are areas of his game that I think will improve under Arteta, playing regularly in a team that have a clear, defined way of playing in and out of possession, different to how West Ham play. With his passing, he's going to have to be coming up against low blocks more and teams and defending a lot more in open spaces, not just in the transition, which you probably have seen for West Ham, But yeah, I mean, in the transition, of course, but not just in those moments where there's big gaps in the midfield, but very high lines where he's going to have to make a lot of recovery runs too, and see how he manages those situations. So yeah, definitely going to be an interesting watch for him next season. But as you like you said yourself, you have all the faith that he will do well, because Arteta is very meticulous in his approach and and the players that he wants, which is why a lot of them have succeeded in his reign, especially the big signings too. Ed, big up my brother Ed in here as well. Hope you're keeping good, bro. He says, my Rice comparison. I did mention it, as I mentioned it earlier, about Paddy Vieira. Whoa. I've been working all day, so Mr. W is really happy, as I've not been in. I love that. I do love that indeed. So yeah, now you've come back to ruin his day. I think the Rice deal is massively important for Arsenal's reputation going forward and what that can do for us attracting top players. Absolutely, indeed. Players don't want to. It sounds crazy because, he's not someone with a lot of aura surrounding his name in the game. He's not like a Casemiro when Man United signed him, or a Messi or anything like that. But players will want to play with Declan Rice because, for one, he's a personality that's got a strong personality, but a very nice guy as well, that you hear a lot of people talk about him with such high praise as a footballer on and off the pitch. Mikel Antonio, Kieran Trippier, those are two examples that really love and rate Rice and his ability and his work ethic. And it's Arsenal are an attractive club, and you've got to think of it right as a job. It is a job. Are we an attractive employer? Absolutely. The players we've got there. Kai Havertz spoke about this well, and he broke it down in his welcome interview. He said when he played against Arsenal, he saw how the players interacted on together in and out of the game. He said it was a family, and that's what we all want. That's what we all aspire to have in our workplace, somewhere that you feel relaxed and that you can be yourself, that you can work together, that you all have the same ambitions, the same goals, and the same approach, and the same similar brains, but you bring your personality to it, and it adds to the team. This is not. I'm not even necessarily talking about football stuff here, guys. I'm talking about in life. You want to be able to bring your traits, your skills, and help others grow, and they will help you grow, bringing their skills and their traits across and their characteristics. Definitely. And that's what Arsenal are. And Clive from the Arsenal Vision podcast said it perfectly in his definition. Arsenal are an employer of choice, and that's taken years to get to that. Arteta, Edu, Richard Garlick, Stan and Josh Kroenke, massive applause for that turnaround that you've made at the club, becoming an employer of choice. How amazing. Like, the people envy how Arsenal fans feel about the club because of the affinity that we have with certain players, even if fans don't necessarily rate them. That's why we're very passionate in defending and backing them, because it is a family at the end of the day. And that's Arsenal. When I in my early days of supporting the club, that's what we were known for. A club of class, a club of respect for its players, respect for the opposition as well on certain occasions, unless you're Man United and Roy Keane, or Alex Ferguson, you get a pizza thrown at you. But yeah, somewhere a club that shows real respect and class to its players as well. Don't forget he played for Chelsea too as a youth player. Yep, he did. Yeah, I mentioned that. You are right, Red Devil Yannick is a massive Chelsea fan as well growing up too. So that's interesting. Big up Moss in the place, says G's missed a lot. Dan, what's up? Moss broke the news live last night with the Canada versus Cuba game. Rice, baby. I'm sure you was ecstatic yesterday as well for that. And such a better cat day for Tereak Talks, not making me ill. 5-1 Spain against Ukraine. So Ukraine took the lead. But yes, if I will recommend those who have just joined as well. Tune in earlier if you want to hear my nice monologue about Declan Rice. But we have to mention because it's going down, and I'm yelling Timber. Let's not forget about Timber, who of Arsenal have agreed a deal with Ajax as well. 40 million euros plus add-ons. I think converted into pounds, it's like 36.4 million pounds. Bargain for me, for someone that was touted to, well, Manchester United were interested in last summer, and Ajax wanted in the region of 50 to 60 million pounds for him, for the young 21-year-old. At the time was 20, and a year further into his development. He didn't have as good of a season as he did as the previous season for Ajax, and that's me, and I've got the answer for that already. Not necessarily because of Timber's individual ability. I think the biggest factor was Ajax as a club were underwhelming this season. They lost a lot of their key players: Alessandro Martinez, Anthony, Sebastian Haller, who else? Gravenberch. And those are just to name a few. Mazraoui, those types of players there, they lost a lot of them. Ajax did in that last summer's transfer window, and they didn't. And the players that came in didn't hit the ground running. You know, Calvin Bassey has been linked to Brighton now, of course, but I'm sure he'll do well there. I'm sure he'll fit much better into that system as well, guys, because that's another topic that I'll get into at the end of the show. I kind of touched on it yesterday with CM, but he will do well. Players, you got to sign players over profiles, over performances. That's how you got to operate as a club. That's how the top coaches do it. Manchester City, Pep Guardiola brings in Manuel Akanji, Nathan Ake. Nathan Ake got relegated. Manu Akanji was a bit part player. Both played a massive part in winning the treble. Arsenal, Mikel Arteta has just bought Kai Havertz. Terrible in terms of performances at Chelsea. Mason Mount had a terrible season, and to others, he says he has plenty of terrible performances. Erik ten Hag's only going to sign him there. We see it all the time. Jurgen Klopp, etc., etc. Anyways, but yeah, Jurrien Timber coming into this Arsenal team. I believe, and a lot of Arsenal fans believe, that he's going to be playing in that right back on paper, but more of a versatile, mobile right back spot who will enter into the second line into the line in front of defense, being able to have the ability to progress the ball with his passing, but not just that, another excellent ball carrier. Something to keep an eye on. Arsenal are signing a lot of brilliant ball carriers this season who are able to carry the ball in tight areas and progress up the pitch through that way. It's going to make us even more attractive to watch. I do believe not just trying to progress with passing, but with players that can carry the ball. And there's not many players that can do that in the world, you know, guys. I know we probably see when we see it, we think a lot more players can do it at the professional high level. It's very difficult to do. It really is. Otherwise, a lot more players who are gifted will be doing it as well. But Jurrien Timber, excellent deal for me. I do think, though, he will have a period to begin with where he'll be allowed to adapt, and where he'll have to cope with the intensity of the league, get used to those things, the physicality of the league, in terms of teams being a lot more direct, in terms of not direct in playing the Stoke way, but aren't afraid to go and hit it long. And then they've got strikers. Manchester City operate like that, all the way down to the bottom, where I predict early predictions, where I predict Luton will be with players like, is it Elijah Adebayo? Players like that. They're 6'4" strikers, being able to bring it down, peel off to the rights, to the full backs in those half spaces, trying to challenge. One of the areas in his game that he seriously needs developing for me is his aerial ability, coping with those. Not necessarily, I don't expect him to be the best from going from one of the worst defenders aerially to one of the best, but just being competent. A little bit like what's happened to Ben White. Nobody really talks about Ben White being a liability in the air. not like they did in his first season when Ivan Toney gave him an absolute battering. But then after that, evidence proved that Ivan Toney is one of the best strikers in the league. So yeah, that's interesting. But with Yuri and Timber, I do think you have to quite learn into that and just and fit into what Arteta's wanting to do with him, because I think it's going to be very different to how he would have operated at Ajax, because I don't think he'll play as in a back four, as a centre back a lot. Or if he does play as a centre back, it'll be more in a three at the back situation when we do adapt to that and change our formations during the game, which happens a lot. Of course, we don't really have a fixed formation. It will be interesting, but he's a very exciting player that if he does hit this anywhere near his potential, he will progress us further and further. Who would have seen what the impact that Zinchenko would have had at Arsenal at this 12 months ago this time? I wasn't happy with that deal, and I'm holding my hands up. This is where I was proven wrong. I was like, Zinchenko underwhelms. Not really too happy about that. Boy, was I wrong. Shut me up. Don't always listen to me. Don't dislike this video right now for that. Don't actually do that. Yeah, any engagement's good, I guess. But no, don't dislike the video for me saying Zinchenko's bad. I'm holding my hands up. And I didn't say it was bad. I'm putting words in my mouth now. I'm digging myself a hole. That's it. Lock off the street. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of Zinchenko signing, and I couldn't have been more wrong. How he transformed him as well as Jesus transformed how Arsenal operate and how they play in and out of possession, how we have our rest defense in possession. Boy, was I wrong. And I think Yuri Timber could have a similar effect. I don't even think Arsenal are going to play like exactly how we did last season. That's why when the rival fans throw the teams will know how Arsenal play now. They'll throw you a different challenge, and I don't think you'll be able to live with that. You really? Are you stupid? The reason I say that, and I'm sorry to be harsh, I do ask, are you stupid? Because Arsenal have been played completely differently each season since Arteta's been here. From his first season when he took over, in his second season, I mean, in the first spell that he had, it was more like a 4-2-3-1, but a lot more defensive, transition based. And then we went to a 5 at the back, well, with wing backs, and we didn't even have Saka playing in them times. We had like Pepe and Lacazette, and Aubameyang was on the left wing. After that, we transitioned into a 4-2-3-1 where Emile Smith-Rowe came in as like the attacking midfielder, Partey, Xhaka in the base, and then we built upon that, or even more, where Erdegaard was taking up much more space in the right half space, but Xhaka and Partey was still a bit deeper. And then last season, the explosion where the project went, bang. Yo, if you don't think we're going to change again this season, you're going to, hey, you've got another thing coming. You'll learn, guys. But yeah, Yuri and Timber, I think he can have a massive impact in that. On the ball, one of the best defenders in the world, of course. In and progressing the ball confidence. He's very unique. Another one who's got a unique profile in how he plays. Who can you really compare Yuri and Timber to? An aggressive defender, front foot, but someone who's got the confidence, got the ability, and to play in tight situations too. Guys, it's going to be an interesting way how Arsenal are setting up this season. I'd probably say the Butcher is similar, but we haven't really seen the capabilities, the ceiling, sorry, not the capabilities of Lisandro Martinez for other factors at Man United, because the team hasn't been able to play the way that Erik ten Hag has wanted, and what I believe they probably will be closer to playing like next season because of the players around him, David De Gea in goal, etc. So yeah, Yuri and Timber. Overall, summarize, I think he will. I'm not sure if he'll hit the ground running. I don't think he will, but I think ultimately he will be a very good signing for Arsenal, and he will develop and be a top top player. And yeah, great player to be bringing in and adding more depth into the side as well. Allowing us, if we had a situation where we needed to rest Saliba's picked up a knock, hopefully not a back injury as the extent that he had last season. But if he's picked up a knock and he needs a rest, and we're trying to prevent a situation that happened last season, you can move Ben White into that centre back position. Urine Timber comes in at right back, stays there, or move him into centre back, and then you have to bring a Tomiyasu because profiles, partnerships, they have to work a bit differently. Do I think you can play Ben White and Urine Timber in the same team? Yes, if Ben White's at centre back and Timber's at right back, but no, if Timber's at centre back and Ben White's at right back. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. I might be wrong. We'll see. Arteta might prove me wrong again. But yeah, interesting. I think if Timber was to play and Ben White or Saliba weren't, I think it'd be top. I mean, if Timber was to play and Saliba's not, I think we might even see a Tomiyasu if he's fit and available, because I think Tomiyasu would balance out those things. Tomiyasu is a very good in the air, very good 1v1 defender. Also, if we was to play Timber at centre back, then you can play Tomiyasu at right back, or even the other way around. So much versatility, and Moss is going to love it. I know Moss loves versatility, and so does Mikel Arteta, and so do I. So yeah. As Wes Bird says, Timber, great signing. Indeed, totally agree with you. Moss says across the pond, he doesn't. He says 2 Timbers better than 1. Yes, he's got a twin brother, in fact, Quinton. They're both Christians as well, devout Christians. So that's what I love to see. I was happy to see that, of course. So yeah. Kenneth Taylor in this year, maybe he's another one who's coming up at Ajax. I think he's got this season, if he can really prove it and kick on, I think he'll get a big move next summer. He might even move now too. But yes, the final part I just wanted to mention in this Arsenal a heavy show was that you can see in the title. According to reports, Ryan Taylor has said Arsenal are open to selling Thomas Partey. Let me read this article out for you. Thomas Partey, who Arsenal are open to selling this summer, is unlikely to be moved unless a suitable transfer package arrives, and his future could now be directly related to further midfield incomings. There has been tentative interest from Saudi Arabia, but Partey is understood to favour the prospect of remaining in Europe instead. And of course, we've heard that Real Madrid, if they were interested, they'd be gone in a heartbeat. Or would he? Plays for Atletico Madrid. But anyways, that's not the case. Juventus have been linked and made their interest known for the Ghanaian international and captain. This is another one that has Arsenal, not another one that has Arsenal fans split. I think we've been quite unified so far, which is rare in our thoughts and feelings until you mentioned Havertz. I just thought about that actually. So yeah, another one that has split Arsenal's opinion. But selling Thomas Partey, I think, as Ryan Taylor said in his article there, and the information that Arsenal letting out to his report is right for me. I'd be open to selling Partey if there was a suitable offer. Whatever the club deem as a suitable offer is up to them. For me, my opinion, 35, 40 million pounds. If you can get that with a player that's got, what is it, a year left on his contract? Is it 2 years? It might be a year. I should probably check this. But yeah, for someone with a short time remaining on his contract, getting a fee in that region, I think it's reflective to the player's value for us, to his ability, how good he is, because his transfer value right now is 35 million euros. So if you can get a bit more than that because of how valuable he is to Arsenal, I think that's worth it. Yeah, and his contract expires so in 2 years' time. Yeah, 30th of June 2025. I think that's a good offer. I think that's good. I think our Arsenal will be willing to take that. And I would be happy to let him go. And I say that with heavy consideration and a lot of thought, because with Partey, let's talk about the good parts of him first. The level that he showed for a long periods of last season, was tremendous. One of the best midfielders in Europe, in the world, let's say, because Europe is where the game is at. Well, might not necessarily be for long. But yeah, let's say the world. Because everything that he can do, the responsibility he held in that defensive midfield position, in that lone pivot by himself, the ability that he had, reading the game, breaking up play, energy in the midfield, aggressive with his passing, silky smooth in carrying the ball, progressive carries just behind Declan Rice. And Declan Rice is one of the best in the world at that. Having a lot of all of that responsibility, allowing Arsenal to have a stable axis in that middle of the park, tremendous. But the reason why I'm open to selling is more than that. It's the lack of availability. It's that sudden intake of breath whenever you see Partey sprint, because you know how pivotal he is into that team. And if we can build in a way where, with Declan Rice now, someone that is more durable in this league, and not necessarily in this league, just for physically more durable, who you're not panicking every time he goes out for international duty that his hamstring or thigh is going to burst, or, I know that they don't literally burst, but yeah, it will tear, or, and that will really heavily impact our season. If you can move on from that and get someone who might not be at the same level, because Thomas Partey's don't grow on trees, guys. They don't. But get someone with tremendous potential who can reach that level with Arteta's under Mikel Arteta and his guidance, like Romeo Lavia, who I was reluctant at the start. And Moyes, I need to stop thinking about Moises Caicedo. He's going Chelsea. Shut up, Tereak. Potentially Chouameni, which Wilf, big up Wilf, one of the TTF brothers in here, thinks that Arsenal have a big chance in getting, or just being open in the market for that. It will be interesting. I would be open for it, and due to the lack of availability, nothing to do with the player's ability, but his availability. Even though his ability was impacted at the end of the season, this is me. Once again, no concrete knowledge by injuries, because it's just a pattern that we've seen with Partey. Partey's performances drop when he's carrying an injury, and usually when Partey's had a bad game, what follows? He's out for weeks. We've seen that too many times in his period at Arsenal. But I think he managed, he played on. And Jorginho came in against Chelsea and kept his place away at Newcastle, even though it looked obvious right now, even though it looked obvious that Partey, his physicality, he'll be vital for that game. Arteta stuck with Jorginho, had a fantastic game, and Partey came in for only the last few games when the season was done and dusted. So, yeah, I do think that it is something to consider. Wes Bird in here says 40 million might be a stretch, Mossman. I think it might be. If clubs in Europe, Wes, you are right. If clubs in Europe want him, yeah, it's not going to happen for 40 million, because there's just not that money in and around Europe. If Saudi Arabia, however, the money is in there and they are able to pay those prices, as well as the wages that a player like Thomas Partey will demand. That's why Arsenal, of course, are more open to selling to Saudi Arabia. But the player would rather stay in Europe, and you can understand that decision. You can understand that if he's someone that believes that he still can play at the highest level and still got more to offer to the game, and he wants to win the biggest trophies and compete for European majors, he'll want to stay in Europe. And if he does, and it's by his desire, Arsenal are a classy club. Respect our players once again. We'll grant his wishes like we have done with many others. My missus is right. She knows, she knows, she does. I do agree. Mr. Westford, I do agree. She is right. It might be a stretch indeed. And the Declan Rice video is leaked, apparently. Is it actually? I want I want to check. Do I want to check it? Do I want to see it? If I can just see that it's been leaked, then I'm going to steer away from it. It's so hard because of how excited we are. I'm having a look right now if it has been leaked. Please not. Oh man. Okay. If that video has been leaked, I'll stay away. I need to stay away from Twitter until we get the official announcement. But yeah, what can I say? Us women always know best. I know. I hate it. Don't you hate it, Mr. W, when we get proven wrong as well? Mr. W is now saying, okay, now you've gone too far. Now you've gone too far. Now this is why, Mr. W is saying, this is why I preferred it when you was at work all day. Now, I love you, Wesbird. Love you so much. Love you guys. Love each and every one of you in the chat. But Mr. and Mrs. W, love you guys so much. His wages gone. Might be nice. Yeah, very high wages too. Very high wages indeed. And when you're paying those wages to someone around 200k, but wages aren't very reported well, but you can just imagine that he's high up in the in the wage bracket at Arsenal. You're going to need someone that's reliable and playing consistently, a la your Declan Rice's now, your Bukayo Saka's. Gabriel Jesus, hopefully, if he has another season like that, we'll be questioning him as well. We will, if he picks up another major injury this season. But yeah, you want players that can give you that level of consistency when you're paying them that much. Indeed, Mama G is always right too. Yeah, I know. Let's not tell Mama G that though. I know. Let's not do that. Is Mama G done with Chelsea yet? As we got special rice now. Now we got rice and peas. Do you know what? Because we eat so much rice in this house, whether it is rice and peas, whether it's just normal basmati or whole grain rice. Yeah. I just keep saying, Mum's saying for dinner. I had salmon and rice. She says, "Do you want salmon and rice?" I said, I want salmon and Declan. But come on, I'm gonna keep doing it now. It won't ever get old. Shall I bring it onto the channel? This is where people say, no, unsubscribe, dislike. I've mentioned the dislike button more than once tonight. Yeah, I need to stop doing it. Jesus needs more goals. Absolutely agree, Mr. W. And I think now, with how many, it's hard to say this because I was about to say, I think if he didn't get that injury, he would have got more goals. But then I double checked myself. And before the injury, before the World Cup break, didn't he go on like a goal drought of like 10 or so games? Yeah, he was creating, and Arsenal was still playing well, and he was still playing amazingly. But if we're gonna need him to score more goals in those games where, we're not playing at our best. Did he? I was about to say, yeah, he needs to score goals like against West Ham and Liverpool. He did score in those games. It's more of the Southampton that game we needed him to score. Manchester City, we need him to score against them. And the first goal, because the first goal for me is always important in those games. I know it wasn't when we played them at the Emirates when we lost 2-1 with after the red card for Gabriel. But I do think those games will be closer. We need it. And our defense needs to concede less. And that's why Declan Rice and Timber have been brought in. We need to compete in the domestic cup. That's my rant over. Mr. W, those are not rants. Man alive, you are moaning tonight. You see, those aren't rants. I've heard much worse from Arsenal fans if those are rants. But nah, he's just setting his expectations. Jesus needs more goals. Our defense needs to concede less. I think that is more of a priority than Jesus scoring more goals, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, we need to compete in the domestic cup competitions, and that's probably number one. Absolutely. That's what I want. But I want us October competing for the rest. Arsenal are opening to selling, are open to selling Partey. Would I do it for the right price? Definitely. I'd be more than open to selling. But guys, I am gonna wrap this up here. I did say at the start that I was gonna talk about other transfer news, But I spent so long talking about that Declan Rice monologue. And plus, it's just full of Arsenal fans in here anyway. But I will talk about more. And do you know what? Unless there's breaking news on Arsenal, I won't be talking about Arsenal tomorrow night. How about that? Sorry, I know most of my subscribers are Arsenal fans, so they're like, oh, there you go. I'll have 2 people watching tomorrow. But I really appreciate you all for tuning in and showing love and support as always. But before I go, the final 2 comments that we got here. Jesus brings so much more to our attack that I think he can be forgiven, as we still scored 88 goals last season. Absolutely. That's exactly. Where's Birdie's right a lot tonight. She is, isn't she? Isn't she, Mr. W? And that's, you know what, you're absolutely spot on. I couldn't have worded that better myself. And I totally agree. Jesus will provide, but JD and Rice would be special with a header card, of course. But yes, guys, what about me on Man United? Red Devil, I'm sorry. We will talk a lot about Man United tomorrow. Promise we'll talk about Andre Onana, what he can bring for you, what Mason Mount, the number 7 shot. I will get into that tomorrow. So we'll be back. Don't you worry with all that tomorrow, Red Devil Yannick. I promise I won't let you down like Shaw Men, the advert. But thank you so much, guys. Really do appreciate you. And don't forget, smash that like button on the way out as well. We will get into it. George Edmondson in the place says, wait, one more thing, Tereak. Give us a prediction for the coming season. George. Okay, it's not my final prediction, okay, because you asked so kindly. It's not my final prediction. So you know the TNC's subject to change. I'm gonna say Arsenal to win the Premier League. Okay, massive. I really do believe we can do, and we will. I've got genuine belief. It is a big thing to say whilst Manchester City are in this league, but I believe what Arteta, this squad of players, adding on top of that with the quality and what we're going to do in the Premier, in the transfer market. But Wes Bird's comment just made me laugh. I won't make a prediction. Wes Bird don't make predictions because they don't turn out well for Arsenal in the end. But yeah, genuinely, George, not just saying it, I've got it in my heart. Genuinely believe that we will be continuing to buy and sell. I think we'll sell first before we buy more in this league. But definitely, I think we can do it. And Red Devil Yannick, top 4 prediction. So I've said Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Manchester United to finish in the top 4. And I know it's finishing lower than what you did last season, Red Devil, but I think it's one of them where you'll on the position in the table terms, it'll be 1 step back, but I think you'll make 2 steps forward, mainly because I think the league is going to be more competitive for those top 4 spots. Teams around there will be better. The level will improve upon last season, but Manchester United will improve with that and maintain their place in that top 4 spot. The deal will be done for the Qataris by then. I feel like it's just a matter of time now in terms of that, and then Man United will be able to return at their best. Eric Ten Hag's philosophy will be more implemented more as well. I do believe. Amrabat room and Man United. I'll talk about that tomorrow. You see, that's another one. Excellent. Thank you for reminding me about that there, Moss. And is our midfield currently better than City's? Ooh. No. No, not currently. But I think it's got a way to prove, and I think that can prove that it will do, guys. Mr. Westbird's put his prediction in here. PL runners-up, FA Cup winners, League Cup semi-finals. See, I'll make up the numbers. Mr. W, would I be happy with that? I'd be content. I know it sounds mad because we won a trophy, but my expectations for this Arsenal team is really high. Winning an FA Cup and finishing second in the Prem, and then CL probably that's round of 16. You say I think we can do more than that. Really do. But yeah, I won't hold you to it. The things will obviously we're still yet to see things change. Big up each and every one of you in the build. Really, just joining in as well at the end. Big up my bro right there. I hope you're all. I beg to disagree with my better half. Exactly. We're winning the league. We're telling you. Catch you later, guys. Love you already. I already do. Love you and God bless. And take care, people. We are out. Peace.